Welcome to Holly's Quiet Harbor. Take a deep breath and let your mind begin to rest. There's nothing wrong with you because your heart responds. Some people move through the world like stone bridges, steady and unmoved by the weather around them. And some people move through the world like water. You notice tones in voices that others miss. You feel tension before anyone says a word. You absorb joy, grief, disappointment, beauty, and overwhelm all at once. And sometimes the tears come quickly, not because you're weak, not because you're dramatic, not because you're too much, but because your heart is awake. So tonight, or this morning, wherever you are, this meditation is not about hardening yourself. It's not about becoming less emotional. It's not about shutting down your sensitivity so the world becomes easier to survive. Instead, this is about learning how to carry your tenderness gently. Begin by settling into a comfortable position. You don't need to force deep breath. You don't need to perform calmness. Just allow yourself to arrive here. Notice the surface beneath you. Notice the support holding your body. And for a moment, imagine setting down all the emotional weight you've been carrying for everyone else. The conversations replaying in your mind, the facial expressions you analyzed afterward, the feeling that maybe you cared too much, the moments you apologized for being emotional. Let all of it rest beside you for now. You don't have to carry it every second. Let your shoulders soften. Your emotions are not evidence of failure. Tears are one of the oldest languages the body speaks. Before we had sophisticated words, we cried. When we lost something precious, we cried. When we loved deeply, we cried. When we survived something painful, we cried. Your nervous system is not betraying you. It's communicating. Sometimes your tears will say, "This mattered." Sometimes they say, "I'm overwhelmed." Sometimes they say, "I've been strong for too long." And sometimes tears arrive without explanation at all. That's human. Tender-hearted people often spend years trying to become less sensitive. But imagine asking a flower to stop turning toward sunlight. Imagine asking the ocean not to respond to the moon. Sensitivity is not a defect in your design. It's part of your humanity. Now imagine yourself standing beside a quiet shoreline at dusk. The tide moves in slowly. The water does not apologize for rising. The waves don't ask permission to feel, and neither should you. You are allowed to react emotionally to beauty. You are allowed to cry when you're exhausted. You are allowed to feel deeply affected by the suffering of others. you're allowed to be moved. The goal is not numbness. The goal is steadiness within sensitivity. A calm center inside a feeling heart. So now, place one hand gently over your chest if that feels comfortable, and silently repeat, I do not need to earn the right to feel. My sensitivity is not shameful. Perhaps there were moments in your life when people treated your emotions like inconvenience. Maybe you heard phrases like, "You're overreacting," "You're too sensitive," "Why are you crying again?" "Don't take things so personally." And over time, maybe part of you began believing that softness was weakness. But softness is often evidence of courage. Because despite disappointment, despite heartbreak, despite exhaustion, you still care. You still love. You still empathize. You still notice when someone else is hurting. That kind of heart changes the world quietly. The world sometimes assumes the strongest leaders are the loudest people in the room, the most unshakable, the least emotional. But many researchers and psychologists who study highly sensitive people suggest something different. They believe highly sensitive people often make extraordinary leaders because they notice what others miss. They read emotional undercurrents. They think carefully before acting. They recognize when someone is struggling long before anyone says a word. Tender-hearted people often lead with empathy instead of ego, with reflection instead of recklessness, with awareness instead of indifference. Your sensitivity may not always feel convenient in a fast and noisy world, but it can become wisdom. The very thing you were told was too much may actually be part of what makes you trustworthy, compassionate, thoughtful, and deeply human. You don't have to become harder to become stronger. Now imagine a warm light surrounding you. Not harsh or blinding, just gentle, like candlelight in a quiet room. And this light doesn't ask you to become less emotional. Instead, it protects your peace while allowing your heart to remain open. You can be compassionate without carrying everyone's pain. You can care deeply without drowning in every emotion around you. You can feel fully without abandoning yourself. Let that settle gently into your spirit. You're learning balance. Not emotional shutdown, not emotional chaos. Balance. And if tears come during this meditation, let them come. There's no prize for holding everything in. Sometimes crying is not falling apart. Sometimes it's release. Sometimes it's honesty. Sometimes it's the nervous system finally exhaling. Now take a slow breath. And as you breathe out, imagine telling yourself something you may have needed to hear long ago. You are not too much. Your heart was not made incorrectly. It was made tender. And tenderness can coexist with wisdom, with boundaries, with resilience, with strength. The world often celebrates people who appear untouched. But there's also beauty in being someone who still feels. Someone who can stand in awe. Someone who tears up during kindness. Someone who notices loneliness in a crowded room. Someone who loves deeply enough to be affected. That's not failure. That's humanity. And the world doesn't only need leaders who dominate. It needs leaders who listen. Leaders who notice. Leaders who care. And perhaps your tender heart was never something to overcome. Perhaps it was part of your gift. So let yourself rest, not as someone broken, not as someone too emotional, but as someone deeply alive. And may you remember, your tears are not proof that you're weak. Sometimes they're proof that your heart is still open in a world that often teaches people to close.